What was like some of the biggest challenges that you encountered teaching people over the years that that people need to get taken care of? Because like, listen, we're going through a really interesting, tough time right now. I mean, like, we've got a new president. Every day is like a different adventure. It's like, it's not like a typical president where he just says something and now they're on cruise control. Now they just, they have their own agenda. I mean, this guy's actually doing what he's doing,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And so I always tell people you already have to develop a process for trade entry. And there's a lot of different processes out there, but one of the things that you'll find out is that the market's a 24-hour market, okay? It starts in Asia in the evening, and then it rolls into Europe, and then from Europe it rolls into the day. And then during the day, you got really two parts. I call it the New York part and the California part. And so these times are very important for trend changes during the day or during the night. And so you get that process and you got to figure out whether to be, I always say the most important question, no matter if you trade stocks or you're trading options or trading futures, the most important question a trader has to answer is whether to be long, whether to be short, or should you stay out? Like this morning, we had the CPI report. That's a big news item, one of the top 5 of the month. And so I told everybody that I got this saying, it's called patience will pay. And when you have a big news item, you're better off watching rather than getting on the wrong side of a market or letting your bias make you make trades. The other thing that I think that I've learned that's really big is you've got to stay balanced. Always be open to learning. Somebody might have something you totally disagree with, but you might pick up one item that will make you improve, what you're doing. And then when you're trading, you got certain risk dollars that you're going to use. The best thing I would tell you is try to keep it level. I never know after 40 years of trading whether the trade's a good trade or a bad trade until I finish. And I just keep all my bets level, I call it, because I want to, the ones that are good, you wish you had everything in that one, but that's not the way it works. You don't know. You're following a process, you're getting into the trade, you're hoping that it does what you want it to do. And if it does, you get paid. And, I got a couple things like that I'll go through, look at the day, say, okay, what does the day look like? Is this an up day? Is it a down day or a sideways day during this time frame? I sort of stay isolated. We just shifted a little bit ago to the second half of the day. And so if we're going to get a trend change today, it's going to happen in the next hour. The odds are it's going to happen in the next hour if you're going to get one. And so if you get one of those, what you really want to do is just adapt to it, because if you're trading, especially during the day, I do a lot of day trading, obviously, and I do a lot of swing trading and overnight trading. But the real, I like, and Fausto, I think feels the same way. In the day, it's a lot less risk trading during the day.
yeah,
When you go to bed at night, you're going to end up taking overnight risk. And if you don't think I'm right, go check the exchanges out. They require a lot more money to take things overnight than they do intraday. And so the best handicappers in the world are solidifying the point during the day is where your best time to trade, especially if you don't like to lose a lot of money. And that can get pretty severe from Friday to a Monday or Monday to a Friday. So about 3 in the afternoon Eastern time, I'll start looking at everything in my account and say, okay, doesn't have a chance, and I pitch it. And taking losses, let me talk about taking losses, Fausto, because I used to have a real trouble taking losses. When you're a new trader and all that, if you take a loss, I promise you there's a reason you took that loss, because it's going to get a lot bigger if you stay with it. So I always, when I take a loss, I think, man, I'm glad I'm taking that loss where I don't have to take the pain and suffering of what I did maybe my first 10 years in this business, let me out of it, So I think that what I would tell people, always read, educate yourself, listen, you'll learn from people. And if you find somebody that really strikes a chord with you, you maybe ought to follow them and learn how they're approaching the market, because everybody's different, right?
yeah.
Everybody's different. different degrees of risk, different degrees of strategies, and all that. So.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all have mentors, we always learn from you. And I said, listen, you try definitely a little bit of everyone's stuff. I mean, you're going to learn a little bit from everybody. I mean, and everyone just builds a style. Like, there's a lot of your students are my students, and a lot of my students are yours. Sometimes it might not work for you, and you might want to try something else, and you should definitely do that. But like, if somebody want to get started, Tom, because this is another thing that I always encounter, people probably asking, because we have a lot of listeners here from all over, all the different social networks. If somebody really want to get started, where do they go? I mean, and how much do they need to get started? I mean, like, listen, trading is a very big failure rate. You know that, and that's why we love teaching people, because we don't want people to listen. We want people in our industry, but we also don't want the negativity, because it's such a very big failure rate. So, if someone comes in, did join you or didn't join you, how do you go about, getting them to make that first step?
Well, first of all, you got to learn the language of the market. We talk in different terms. So let me just give you a couple examples. You don't know what a stop is, you better learn what a stop is. You don't know what a limit order is, you better learn what a limit order is. And then now, in the world of electronics, you got to learn how to place that order. You're no longer talking to a guy on the phone saying, hey, place me a stop at this order. You got to do it yourself now. It's sort of a electronic world. And let me tell you about a computer. You put that in there and you do the wrong thing, you're going to get out of that position. You maybe not intend to get out of that position. So you got to learn, your platform that you're using. You got there's just so much to learn about how to even have a reasonable chance to succeed. Okay, that's number one. And number two, it's all about going back to that basic question. Once you learn how to place orders, exit orders, do all that, then you got to learn whether you're going to play the market to the upside, play the market to the downside, or should you have a strategy that takes advantage of it going sideways. And there's a lot.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.